Well, hello there. My name's Doug Meadows, and I'm the founder, visionary, and hero maker here at David Douglas Diamonds, and I want to welcome you to a century of legacy and luxury as we continue on. This Today is actually Mother's Day, and so I wanted to talk just a little bit about moms and the women, the mothers and grandmothers that have been special to me in my life. We're right in the middle of our Dazzling Diamonds for Mom contest. We've gotten all the letters in, we've judged them, we've announced winners for diamonds, we've presented diamonds to the winners, we've gone to the schools and provided all the certificates, and now all the kids are coming in to pick up their gemstones and diamonds. And so it's just been a lot of fun, been really busy. This is probably our second busiest time of the whole year, next to Christmas. And it'll, as I think back to my grandfather that started us back in 1926, and I think of my grandmother that stood by his side for many years and raised four children. And, sadly, they did get a divorce at some point in time. I don't even remember them being together. I always remember them being apart. My grandfather had remarried, but we would go over to my grandmother's house in Detroit, and my aunt lived with my grandmother, and we would go there for the different holidays, whether it be Easter or Christmas or whatever. And she was just a real short little woman, and real sweet, but a good cook. I mean, we had a good time. Eventually they moved out of Detroit, a long ways away, out to Fowlerville. I don't even know how many miles that was. It was a long hike, probably a good hour away from where they were at, from the city to the middle of nowhere. They just had cornfields around them and different things, and we always had fun going out to their house when they moved out there also. But my grandmother made it until she was 86 years old, and I just always have good memories of my grandmother. And then that would be my Grandma Meadows. And then on my mom's side, we had my Grandma Fur, and she lived till she was 96. Two totally different grandparents, but both very lovely, and really enjoyed them both. My Grandma Fur, anytime you came over, she wanted to give you something, usually food, she had all her food dated and different things. It was fun. I really enjoyed going to see her. She lost her husband. Her husband passed away, or my grandfather, my Grandpa Fur passed away when he was 77. But then that kind of rolls me into my mom. I lost my mom to cancer, and she made it till she was 58 years old. I was 32 years old at the time, and I don't know. It's just it is what it is. And but growing up, her and my dad did the best they could to raise us and feed us and take care of us. And it was overall, I had a great childhood. I wouldn't change a bit of it. There's no regrets. There's no wounds out there or anything like that. But my mom was really good. I think, when it relates to work, the one time I remember, I was home from school for the summer. I think I was in high school at the time, and my dad came home for lunch, and he asked me to come back to work with him, that he needed some help. And that day I just didn't feel like it, and I told him no. And after my dad left, my mom chewed me out. She told me, when your father asks you to go to work, you go to work. And I never forgot that, and never said no again. But, I think she really reinforced that work ethic to work hard and things. But, the other, my mother-in-law has also been instrumental in my life in taking care of me and kind of replacing my mom after she passed away. She actually lives next door to us today. She's 93 years old, still doing well, and the kids just love her to death. And my daughter goes over there probably every day to go see her, and then Joseph, that helps me here at the store, he for Christmas one time he made her like a big frameable cutting board, and he engraved it with I don't know, she would always make this fried chicken that the kids just loved, and so he awarded her the best fried chicken grandma alive or something like that. It was really cute. But Grandma got to the point, or my mother-in-law got to the point that she told the kids, listen, I'm not doing any more fried chicken. I'm just getting a little bit too old for that. But, it's really great to have her next door. I know the kids really enjoy it and will appreciate that more and more as they get older and older. But, I didn't really get to see my grandparents too much growing up. But what little bit of time I did, I really enjoyed. I remember going back to my Grandma Meadows. There was one trip that me and my aunt and my grandma took, and I was probably 13, 14 years old at that time. And we went from Michigan all the way down to Florida to go see my uncle, which would have been my aunt's brother and my grandma's son. And so we took a trip all the way down there to go see them, and it was to celebrate the birth of a granddaughter. And so we went down and saw, and she was actually named after my grandma. My grandmother's name was Julia, and so my Uncle Art named their daughter Julia, also Julia May. And it was just real sweet and a good time to spend with them, traveling for that. We probably took a couple of weeks to do all that, and it was a good trip, a very memorable trip. But then, moving into my wife, and who is now a mother, we both struggled to try to have kids to make her a mom, and we went through a lot of testing and different things, and they discovered that she had endometriosis. And so we did, the doctors did some surgery, or I guess now today they call it a procedure. And they theoretically took care of all the endometriosis and told her, you're good, you can have kids now. Everything else is great. And so nothing happened. It took years. We finally began to look into the idea of adoption. We explored that, and that was truly an emotional high and low. And we would get opportunities that then would be pulled away from us, and different things. And so it was a little bit of a journey. But then we worked with a missionary down in Mexico, and got the call one day, actually right around this time of year. May 18th is his birthday. And so on May 18th, we got a call and said, hey, we got you a little boy. When can you come? And I said, well, we could leave today, or tomorrow would be a little bit better. Well, It happened to be that he was actually in Texas when he called me, and so we flew to Texas, met up with him, and we drove all the way down to Tampico and then down to Velez, Mexico, and picked up a 3-day-old baby son, newborn, and my wife's face was just all lit up. She was really excited to be able to have a baby, and we took us a little while to get home, but we got home, and I can remember, feeding him at night and rocking him to sleep and thinking, wow, this is it. I got my little boy, and I carried the tradition on. My mom and dad had 4 boys, and so they named us Don, Dan, Dave, and Doug. So our first names all start with the letter D, and then our middle names all start with the letter G. So my oldest brother, and they didn't intend to continue this, but it just happened. So they started out with Don, and his middle name it was my dad's name, which was Glenn. And then the second one they did Dan, or Daniel, and Donald or Daniel. And then on Daniel they named him. His middle name was after my uncle that was my dad's partner, so it was Gene. So his name was Daniel Gene. And then the third one came along, and it was David, and so they did David Gregory with a G. And then they got to me, and they did Douglas Gerald. It was really interesting, though. After my mom passed, I got some trinkets and some different memorabilia type things, and there was, when my mom had given birth to me and she was in the hospital, she was trying to figure out a G name for my middle name, and she ended up putting down Jeffrey. And I really didn't get any of this memorabilia stuff until after we adopted my son Drew. And, we were going through middle names too, and I found the name Jeffrey that I really liked with a G, and turns out that my mom was looking at my middle name to be either Gerald or Jeffrey, and she chose Gerald, and we chose Jeffrey for Drew. So I don't know, it was just really a special moment for me to see that there was a connection to all this, but and different things. But 4 months after Drew we got Drew, and I don't know if I said it or not, but when we were down in Mexico adopting him and getting him, May 18th was his birthday. We were down there for a few weeks, so it ran into mine and my wife's anniversary, which is May 27th. So we were down in Mexico on May 27th, celebrating our wedding anniversary, our 12th wedding anniversary, with our newborn son, and eating Chinese food in Mexico, and they were singing Happy Anniversary to us Flintstone style. If you don't know what Flintstone Happy Anniversary style is, it's on YouTube. You can Google it or search it out and find it. But it was a fun time. But we get home, and 4 months later, my wife took me out to lunch and shared with me that she was pregnant. And so we were just so thankful that the Lord opened up my wife's womb, and then we just kept having kids. And so now we have a total of 5 kids, and my oldest currently is 36, my youngest is 26. So there's a 10-year span in them all. Got 1 girl in the batch, and she'll be turning 30 this year. But watching my wife be a mother to these kids, that was her role in life. I mean, that was her happy spot, and still is her happy spot. She can't stop being a mom. Now she can be a grandmother, and but she has really done a really good job of helping to raise these kids and take care of them. There was tough times throughout for me, developing the business, growing the business, starting a business, financially, and different things, and time commitments and things like that. And she, just really helped raise the kids and do what was needed. And it was, she's been a very special wife and a very special mom to our children. And but as I look and reflect back on 100 years or a century of a family of jewelers, it's not just about the guys. It's also about the wives and the moms and the grandmothers behind us that have really made a difference and made us be able to be sustainable for these 100 years. So, I don't know. I think that's enough for today. Thanks for coming along with me on this journey, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Till then, we'll see you later. Bye.